Hey everybody, welcome to another Age of Grogu, and I've got with me Julie, Emmanuel, Daniel, Angelo, and Ronan Unchained is joining us tonight as well from his channel. And guys, we are all here to talk about the Acolyte episode 5. Now, Emmanuel, you've only got such a short time with you. Got to leave in about 15-20 minutes, so we'll try to get as much in as possible. But let's start with you. What did you think of the episode, guys?
Bro, so let me when he started knocking, like, the choreography was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
When he started knocking off those Jedi, I told you guys when we were at the premiere that I would say I would identify as a Sith. Like, I'm rooting for the Sith, and this episode was fire. Just the way Manny was moving, bro, so elegantly with so much ferocity, bro. Man, I was like, yo, this was the best Disney lightsaber battle, like, hands down today. It was fire, bro. And and I'm surprised they let him, like, he was knocking these Jedis off, even the Jedis that we love. Like, I'm not gonna jump to the spoilers, but he was knocking the Jedis off that we love. And
we will be talking spoilers. I got this in early enough this time. We will talk spoilers. So guys out there, if you before just full out there, we're gonna be spoilers, major spoilers. There's a lot that went on.
It was amazing, bro. I was over there just like, let's go, like, just watching him.
So you were Team Darkseid, huh?
Oh, I'm always Team Darkseid, bro. Always, bro. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Julie, what was your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I agree with Emmanuel. This is some of the best choreography we've seen. Probably since the Phantom Menace, like with Duel of the Fates, in terms of lightsaber fighting.
Sure.
And just Manny's performance, it's so unsettling seeing him in a serious role. I'm so used to seeing him as he was as Khmer and also, like, in The Good Place. It's just insane, the switching.
Yeah. Daniel?
I thought the episode was amazing. My jaw was on the floor for most of it. Everything that happened was stuff that I was not necessarily expecting. Like, It was. I liked the twists and turns. I enjoyed it a lot.
Nice. Ronan?
I think that it might be, energy-wise, might be the best episode of the series thus far. Though I think what 3 did was very fascinating, intriguing. It was a lot to wrap my head around and good to have combos with. Yeah. But what I liked about it is that this one tightened up or rose the bar of, like, all right, how much do you care about these characters and whatnot? And there's 2 of them that I care about a lot. And once we get into it more, I'm very, very intrigued to see how this was put through the ringer and how I have some thoughts about how they went about releasing episodes 4 and 5. And I'll leave it at that. But I had a blast with this episode.
Yeah. Angelo?
Yeah, definitely the best episode of the series so far. It was an episode.
Yeah.
Like, I was shocked the entire way through, and it just on edge. She was just like, wow, they really did it. I was not expecting them.
Yeah. I mean, so basically, this is obviously the same director came in and directed both parts last week as well as this week. Alex Garcia Lopez. And did an incredible job at directing, this part of the episode. Part 1 was a little slow, but it needed part 1 to kind of build into part 2. It felt like it was like definitely one full story. But as a standalone episode, this really was exciting. It was a lot of action, a lot of moving pace all the time, and as you've all said before, the choreography was fantastic in this episode. Some of the best I think we've really seen, and I've got to say that Daphne Keane, who plays Jackie, had some of the most physical, demanding elements I think we've ever seen, even beyond Ewan McGregor from episode 1. We saw so much physicalness coming from her pacing and moving, and you got to pay credit to her alone. She was
3 like X-23, bro.
three really solid combat fights. She had 3 great moments in this episode that were really incredible. Breaking it down, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, there's so many little things that happen along this episode. At the time, when we first started, we got the whole, fight with the Jedi going into battle. And basically, the one thing that threw me off because I wasn't understanding what it was when the Jedi end up by fighting and their lightsabers kind of conk out for a period of time. And obviously, later on, we discovered it's from the armor, which is called Quartus, right?
Quarters,
yeah. Yeah. And I found this out afterwards, so my reaction's full of what's going on here. I don't understand. And after reading upon it, do you guys have anything that you've picked up from that information? Is this stuff that you have delved into, read, or come across?
My friend on the reaction, he was just like, Ronan, we know this. What's the material that's in Legends? And I knew what he was talking about, but I was like, I know what you're talking about, but I'm trying to concentrate on the fight, and I don't want nobody to die. So I was like, yeah, my friend in the reaction, Ant Gold, had picked up quite quickly when he thought, like, okay.
Yeah, I remember Vader. I remember Vader was fighting people in the comics. I don't remember which one, but he was fighting people, and they short circuited his lightsaber. And he was just telling them, like, bro, I don't need a lightsaber. And he just started killing them with the Force. He stole one of their blades and literally started like taking out their lightsabers, the Jedi. And but it's really brittle though. I think that's why Daphne King was able to break it with the hilt so easily.
And that's how it came off his head.
It's brittle. You can tell like when he picked it up after he picked up Osha, like it was very brittle.
Yeah,
but I know that too from the High Republic. The Nile also have, I don't know if it's material or a device that can also short circuit lightsabers from Jedi as well.
Right. I think it's just a great defense mechanism, and I think it's because it's something we haven't seen in live action. It's a cool little thing to have. I mean, it was on his, not just on his helmet, but on his shoulder guards as well, which was also interesting and very cool. And it just, enough to deter a Jedi for just a few seconds, and you can defeat them in that kind of way, as we saw. Some of this lightsaber combat, again, just at the beginning, was quite fantastic. The moment when he pulls the other Jedi into the blade, you could see that at the time we didn't know the name, of course, but of course it is Khmer. The fighting technique is reckless and crazy and unwarranted and definitely not Jedi-like. So I think the Jedi obviously are very caught off guard, which I think was kind of a fun thing to see too, because it seems like all these Jedi have just like this one-track mind. They're like old soldiers who go by laws and rules of the battlefield, and the rules were thrown out the door by the Sith. Any of you guys have anything to say about the fight technique between the Sith and the Jedi?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ronan.
Go ahead, Mano. Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like for sure, like this is the time where the Jedi are at their top. They're at their peak. So nobody in the galaxy is really messing with the Jedi. Mm-hmm. So they don't run across people that actually can give them a challenge. But when he was fighting them, and when he was, man, just the way he was moving with so much ferocity, he was moving. Each blow was to kill, and they are not used to that. Like they're used to be like I mean, me personally, I feel like the Jedi are little bullies. You know what I'm saying? They just going around, especially Jordan. Like episode 2 when he walked into the ship looking for Osha? Oh, episode 1? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they walk around and do whatever they want. But now he's just like, bro, I'm trying to do whatever I don't want. Yeah, y'all standing in my way, so sit on the way, baby.
Yeah.
Any
other? Daniel? Yeah.
I'm just surprised that they showed us so much on a Disney Plus show. Like I was really, when they cut to the scene with Osha at the start, I was really worried we were gonna have skipped the fight and she was gonna like deal with the aftermath.
Yeah.
Like I told Angela when we were watching it, and I was like, oh, I hope they didn't skip the fight. Yeah. And but I was glad with how much we got to see of it.
Totally.
Like even by Disney Plus standards, I think they showed us just the brutality of Khmer, how far he was willing to go.
Sure.
Hey, bro, I had to double check to make sure I wasn't on Hulu, bro. I paused it. I was like, I'm not sure I'm on Disney Plus. That's crazy.
You could tell the roller coaster, the some of the viewers who are watching this show, and how we're like, okay, good concepts, but like you're not going all the way to the point that my friends who were all watching the fight, and they're like, where was this the past 4 episodes? Where was this? Is the force food we've been hearing? The pitch was Frozen meets Kill Bill. This feels the closest to that and whatnot. And I like that you said that the differentiation and how, the Sith is a long gone enemy, and it also tells you how laid back the Jedi must have been in this time period,
Right.
and how.
Yeah. Well, how unaware is what I would say, because they are very much unaware of what a Sith presence is. Sol is sitting there sensing something, and he's not saying, "I sense the dark side." He's like, he has no clue what he's sensing. He's never had the experience.
He says like,
and
"What's this weird feeling?"
Yeah, and I don't think any of the Jedi have had that feeling, and so that was what also caught them off guard.
Yeah, even Yord said that too. How he gets in his mind, and they just don't know how to react.
Yeah.
Which exactly. I'm asking. I'm curious. Do you think they cut out a scene of that of the stranger, if you will, doing what the mothers had done in the previous episodes? Because she said it, and she's like, "Oh, I've only seen that before once when I was a kid."
Yeah.
They cut out a scene with that, because I feel that, like you said, like they've never heard of this, and it that's why I love the line that Jackie had.
Yeah.
Not who is that? She said, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Brett. Go ahead, Brett.
No, I was just going to say, I got the impression that they were referring to, they'd only seen it before, referring to Torben, when Torben was possessed by Mother
Coral.
not Nisa. Yeah, that's it. That's where I gather from that. Emmanuel, we've only got you still for a short time, but I'm going to let's just dive right into the two deaths. First one, Jackie. We had, as I said, some incredible fight sequences, 3 great fight sequences, but we ended up by getting this little moment that I think we all completely were just torn over.
It was something.
I wasn't expecting that though.
Yeah.
But
I walked off. In my video, I literally walked off. And,
really?
Yeah, I walked off, and my friends were like, because they're trying to find out, okay, who is this guy that they've been teasing for a while? And I was just like, I don't give a shit. She just got shanked, lightsaber style. And I'm like, how dare you? And again, going back to it, my favorite characters, the ones I'm connected with in this show, is Sol and Jackie. And the fact that she went down in front of him.
Yeah. She got comboed, bro.
That's why I think there's more
was that its name? No, no, you brought it here, and it's just like,
insane.
Yeah,
that was just brutal.
Yeah,
disrespectful.
No. Which, if I had to pick one person to survive, I would have picked Jackie. I didn't think I really did not think she was going to be the one to not make it out.
Yeah, she was boxing, bro.
Yeah,
she was boxing when she
went down fighting.
When what's it, Corbish, the Wookiees, like when she was dual lightsaber.
Shonakas,
I was like, she was going ham, bro.
Oh yeah,
she was going
that was cool to watch.
It was very cool. Yeah,
she was
absolutely. That little moment was very cool. Then of course we have our other big death. Well, we had the reveal, of course, which we were I think all of us were kind of like saying it felt like a red herring, but we wouldn't be surprised if it was Kamir. And so that came across. But then we have that, that second moment there when, he holds me hostage, and who comes flying in, grabs the helmet for a defense mechanism, which was great, briefly shorts out Kamir's saber, and unfortunately gets that moment. This is probably one of the most
brutal.
It was brutal.
I think that's the most brutal.
There's no Star Wars in that death. It's just like straight, like
that's it. Yeah, wasn't even an honorable. Not even
quiet and just a crack.
And when and I don't know if y'all peeped it, but when he did that, he was still looking at Soul like he was like once he was like, this is what, like telling him like this is what you're doing, like you're here, you brought
this is how unprepared you are as Jedi. Bro.
He just flings his body to the side.
It was. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I mean, I don't consider Yoda is obviously not a Padawan, but it's like he feels like he's that younger, quite maybe once was it was only just recently a Padawan. So I still consider him a Padawan to a certain degree of negligence of understanding. But the two youngest characters of the Jedi that we've been following, to lose them in the fifth episode of a eight episode series did surprise me. That we're going to lose them that quickly, I think.
I like that, like I'm very upset about the deaths, but also I'm glad that they took the stakes and brought them pretty high, because people were complaining that like, oh, like people are surviving lightsaber stabs, not killing people, like nobody's dying, come on. And sure enough, they gave us that.
Yeah.
That's why I think that I haven't been I'm annoyed by Yor. I was like I like him, but he's nowhere near as close as Soul and Jackie's connection to me with him. I'm like, he's got the potential. And that's why I think that, although shocking and surprised, and now I'm like, okay, I don't know where the hell they're going, except that we still need to get that flashback out of the way. I can see, I'll say it. I can see how some of the constructive criticism about the writing about the show is that, it would have been nice to spend some time more with Yord, and if not, then at least put episodes 4 and 5 together, because in episode 4, he kept saying we gotta fill, he was saying we're gonna do this, but then he had a moment with Osha where he's like, listen, Osha, Solo's doing this for a reason. We gotta trust them, and maybe he's not here to face May. Maybe this is for you to face your own past and move forward. It was I think for me, a nice genuine moment. I'm like, okay, he's not just an uptight dude who just graduated out of college and he's king shit. It's like, all right, there's a humanity to him, but like, again, I think it would have been nice to spend more time with him that way. Because again, like I said, I walked off when Jackie got shanked. When he got snapped, I was more like, wow, they just did Mortal Kombat move on him. And this is the second time I've seen a neck snap in Disney Plus, other than Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
But yeah, and listen, we have a lot of friends who are part of the Yord movement. My hats off to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and kudos. I thought he was gonna go places. I think it would have been an interesting to see what if him and Jackie had lived, and how they would have gone forward in perspective of being a Jedi after this adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
Angela.
I'm just genuinely. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go for it, Julie. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm just genuinely so surprised that they like Rogue One everybody, considering there were so many Jedi that we didn't know the names of. Like,
sure, but in episode 5, not in episode 8, it's like it was crazy. And Angela, I was going to say, your thoughts of the fact that they had built up Yord and Jackie as being just like in such a short time they became so big. What were your thoughts, on that kind of loss, It
was just crazy because like you weren't really expecting them because like what you said earlier, they're like two more younger of characters like the Jedis that we've seen, and then just to get killed like that, just straight out. Especially also like after like her crazy fight scene where you're seeing like, a lot of her skills and like how quick she was on like actually on the battlefield, like grabbing Kalnaka's lightsaber and using that, and then like also using like the hilt to break the helmet off, revealing Kamir as the stranger. Like we see all that stuff, and then just as soon as that 3-piece combo was that was something.
It was cool. It was great. Yeah.
It also fed into because I know Leslie Headland had said that it very similar aspects to the Duel of the Fates fight, and with Jackie dying like that in front of Soul, in front of Obi-Wan, and essentially him being not being able to stop it.
Yeah, it's like the reversal of the Padawan dying in front of the Master instead of
I mean, then then you had Soul who just went completely crazy. It just went full on.
Bro, he
was about to.
Anger.
Bro, I was so pissed when Osha stopped him, bro. I was like, you better murder him. I was murdering him, bro.
I think even on my podcast, my reaction, we were just like no.
He gonna come back.
He was kind of rubbing in his face a little bit too, because he's like, Jedis don't kill with unarmed enemy.
Totally.
He was rubbing in his face and everything's like, you're not gonna kill
him. Can a Force user really be unarmed? He's because he has the Force. He still poses a threat to your life even without a weapon.
I think he should have killed him, man. I was like, Osha, what are you doing, bro? The guy is the threat, bro. He just murdered everybody, bro. He should have.
But I think this proves that I think Soul is somewhat clean with what happened 16 years ago.
Sure.
I think it was something shady did happen, but I don't think Soul started it, and I don't think he was an execution in any sort of fashion.
I was just trying to make the best out of a terrible situation. That's what I'm thinking. Like whatever happened, he just tried to do his best,
bro.
I mean, like I said in past weeks, when Soul speaks, I'll listen. So when he says he's innocent, I believe him. Like I don't know, he just has like a believable, believable voice.
They better not do what I think they might do. I'm gonna really be crushed and pissed if they do that.
May was running like 90% of this episode, and I know why. Like after watching the episode, best believe I'll be running too, because that boy, you do not want to fight him, bro. He was slotted. She was literally running, like telling. She was like, "I'm out of here." Like she every single second she could get, bro, she was out of there, and he was going for her. Like I understand why she was running. That dude was
throwing his saber, and even that one shot where we saw the seven still close-ups. I was like, how. I love that. The people who didn't like that cinematic play, I'm like, holy crap, that was scary as hell. That really was so well done. Editorial-wise, everything. I thought it was a great moment.
Yeah. I can just feel the bloodlust. Like, he's for sure... he's for sure one of my favorite Sith. I'm trying to figure out who taught him, or, like, how did he figure out... How did he learn to wield the Force like that? That's the question today.
That's the big mystery. But yeah, Julie.
That's another thing too that I had recognized when he said, "Jedi like you might call me something like the Sith." He didn't say he was the Sith.
Good point. Well, there is that debate online that he may not be a Sith and that he might be posing and that sort of thing too. So we still don't know that final story. I personally believe that this is following, what we normally would get is an apprentice and a master, and then the acolyte taking on the apprentice. A lot of things we saw with Count Dooku in the prequels. Count Dooku tended to tell the truth in a way that really was a truth. The Jedi seem to be the ones that almost have the white lies or the spin on the truth itself. But the Sith tend to always tell the truth. They tell it as it's going to be and how they're going to do it. And we kind of got that a little bit here from Khmer as well, in ways. Some of the stuff he was talking about, I feel like was, stuff that he was projecting as this is the way it's going to be. Did you guys get that vibe?
Yeah. I think so, yeah. The Jedi always talk, like you're saying, like from a certain point of view, this is true. Right. Like they're always being like mysterious about things, and I feel like the Sith normally are more straightforward. Like, this is what I want. This is how I'm gonna get it. This is what it takes.
Yeah. Same thing like when he went to like May, when he said that to he's like, you really didn't figure out that it was me. He's like, this kind of
yes. Audience did.
We did for weeks now.
I was watching the interview with Manny, and then how Manny was saying that how he had fun playing with the he said he wanted Khmer to feel like Jack Sparrow, and in The Stranger to have that one. And you see when he said that, I was like, huh, he did kind of remind me of like Jack Sparrow, like the funny, goofy type. But
and that just goes down to, again, performance. Performance has been everything in this show from all the cast. He has done an amazing job at being this mysterious trickster character, obviously, and a little silly on the side. But again, it's like we couldn't. It was right down to the point we couldn't tell whether he was a red herring or whether he really was going to be the villain. Yeah. And so you got to play that as consideration of like, how cool is that as a performer playing a part that he could have the audience thinking this is too good to be true, and it turns out it really is true. I think that was also a great thing on his part too. Not to mention, it's just like, did anyone expect the freaking muscles on the guy when he threw off the
bro,
cane?
he was
like, what the hell was that?
No, I was looking at him, I was like, bro, I gotta go.
Darth ripped or something, huh?
That dude was shredded, bro.
It was so funny because Manny on an interview too was like, man, like I love my character he's from, but too bad I didn't get to do any of the lightsaber stuff. I would have loved to do that. Like,
stop the cap, Manny.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was that episode.
It explains what I think that he's not a Sith. He's just saying that just to like maybe throw away the Jedi on a loop. He might be something else that has been introduced that maybe we'll talk about later. When I caught something in terms of music, and I was just like, wait, why was that?
Well, yeah, because it sounded like there was.
I did.
Okay, yeah. For those who were unaware, there was a music cue at the end that sounded very much like Kylo Ren's piece of theme.
How did I not get that? And that's
exactly.
Apparently twice.
It was the same notes. So
now that you did, maybe he is a Knight of Ren.
He looks like the one dude who's the leader.
From what I've been hearing online is like the main theory is like he's going to become like Ren. Yeah, he's going to become or he is Ren.
Right. I'm not as familiar with the
title that's inherited.
Yeah, I didn't know where that started from exactly because I hadn't read the comics or the book, so I don't know how far back that goes. Yeah. So it's kind of left open.
Because Charles Soules, if I'm not mistaken, introduced that or at least enhanced it. And then he ended up being a foundational core of the High Republic. So,
maybe Kylo Ren, because I was telling him last week that Kylo took a lot of the he took like especially for his cross-bladed guard. That's a High Republic and even Old Republic. He took a lot of.
Hey there,
bro.
I was for this part. Hey there, Anchorman. Sorry, missing out of the chat there. Sorry. That's funny.
Also, another thing I've been seeing no one's really talking about the bug scene. Like that was crazy. I was not expecting that to happen like that.
I think it was smart. But the way Lord was introducing and just not knowing was what was like in hindsight. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like y'all just came through here and you forgot that.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. A weird moment with Yord, kind of not remembering. I was like, that was a little bit. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
Guys, I was yelling at my TV. I was like, Yord, just turn it off. I was like, listen to it. He was keeping it on for it.
Yeah, I do feel like that was a moment for the audience who might have missed the last episode. I don't know why that was left as which is kind of strange, but I don't know why they, as a reminder. But it is weird that they, Yord would keep the lightsaber. In fact, even when we was doing our reaction, it was like my guys were just like, Yord, turn off the lightsaber. You should. You can't be that dumb.
Just listen to her.
Yeah.
You see those bugs in action, like fully, like how like they were set up to be. It was crazy. Like they just picked them up and just.
I didn't expect that. Yeah, but then he was picked up, and who was not all going? Yeah, he's gonna survive this.
Yeah, I knew. I felt like 5 Jedi, bro. Them bugs had no chance, bro.
It just gave him a head start.
Yeah.
Guys, rip Pip though. Like that's the thing that's breaking my heart.
Basil picked him up. Basil picked him up.
Did Basil grab him?
Oh yeah, Basil came along, which is just right into shot and just picked up Pip's little piece. At the moment, at the time that Osha, picked up the Pip piece and turned on the light and just had that little moment with Pip saying, I'm sorry, Pip. It was like, are we going to lose Pip too? I mean, come on, seriously.
They've been able to handle it.
Yeah. But
droid deaths are something else entirely. I cannot handle it.
Yeah, it's like an animal death.
Yeah, totally, yeah. But it feels like there's going to be a reconnection of Pip, so I feel like we're going to get Pip.
But Basil grabbing Pip must obviously have Osha's scent, and I'm just wondering if Basil knows some things.
Yeah, Basil. But nobody can translate because...
Nobody can translate!
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Yord was the only one who could translate.
Translator dead.
Yeah. No, totally.
I mean, I hope Soul was not that shook up to not realize.
So that's the question. I mean, Basil comes on board, and it seems like I don't have an image there of it, but it seems like Soul seems to. Do you think Soul is aware this is May that he's talking to at this moment in time?
Not yet. I think he's gonna find out next. I mean,
I think he's too emotional right now. Like he's not.
Which is. Would you say that? But a Jedi is not. But a Jedi is not supposed to be emotional, especially in.
Yeah.
So the question.
But he's shown his attachments already to his old
We've seen how different he is. Yeah.
He's very.
Like the entire thing, like him, like still like liking Osha, like being like connected to Osha, even like he's not supposed to. Like even Jackie brought it up. Was like, why do you still like talk about and like remember have a picture of your old Padawan? He's like, you know, he's different. He has those attachments.
Yeah.
I think because she said I wasn't a good student. He said, well, maybe I wasn't a good teacher. So I think he probably thinks he probably wasn't a good teacher, but he was an okay dad. He was an okay father for her when she needed one. I feel like this. I'm like, so please recognize that Osha. Don't be that last thing. Be like, oh, I didn't know this whole time. I'm like, at least because they made out a way to show the tattoo, which is a good bonding scene.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah.
I'm like, please just like help her out. Well, like she removes the clothing and notice there's no tattoo.
Yeah, and she's got a tattoo up here. But then again, if that's Night Sister magic, that can also be taken away or hidden, because we've seen it before that is that element of, you know, we've seen the ability of making it go on. I'm sure there's a way of, but even then her hair covers that part of it. And even if it's not the tattoo, Soul specifically said when he picked her up, he said, "Where is your sister?" He didn't say, "Where is May?" So he might have already picked up on sense that he's already talking to May at that point in time. Even though he seemed to be in this moment. But it also seems weird that he'd go on the ship without at least trying to look for Osha specifically. And that does lead into another question here. Emmanuel, you know, stick around as long as you want to. It's up to you.
I got like 5 more minutes.
Okay, no problems. In that case, let's jump into this then. We have this moment where Khmer force heals, it seems, Osha, and looks like he's going to take her at the end. Do we feel like we're going to get this reversal where May's going to get a little bit of dosage of the Jedi and Osha's going to get this little bit of dosage of the dark side, and Osha may very well be the Acolyte in the future?
That would be cool, because I feel like Osha hasn't done nothing this whole series. So I feel like you can tell
being the main character. Yeah,
you can tell she's starting to get like her force. She's starting to be adapting in the force again.
Reconnecting to
it. But how to quickly gain more power of the force and re-spark it is a quick and easy path through the dark side, and she may actually go that direction.
I hope she does.
Just for interesting sake.
I hope she does.
Listen, learn the truth from Khmer. I'm like, if anyone's gonna tell you the truth, let it be Saul.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like maybe.
But I can see Khmer telling.
To twist her, and if he twists her the right way, she might. I mean, I hope she does, because, like you said, Angelo, as the protagonist, I feel like she has to do. She hasn't really done anything. So I feel like she has to. She has to, like, from here on, she has to be like the main focus, because I feel like Khmer just stole the show based off the this episode. So
because that kind of. Julie.
Oh, I was just gonna point out too that scene in particular of the last image you had shown really mirrored when the Emperor found Anakin on Mustafar, and it was just kind of the very.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Minus the limbs.
Minus the limbs.
You mean plus the limbs?
Plus the other thing, that's it. I hadn't thought about that. That's a good connection there. This episode, again, Leslie Headland has mentioned that she's taken episodes and based them around certain movies. Did anyone get the kind of vibe of what this movie was based around in this episode?
Ooh.
It felt like
I would say Revenge of the Sith, bro.
Really?
I mean, or Empire Strikes Back. I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, other movies in the reference of just genres. I felt like sorry, in the sense of genres, it felt a little bit like Predator to a certain degree.
I was going to say that.
The camera movement of the fights is again, and I feel it's kind of valid and not valid that people are just saying the thing that people are talking about the most is the fight scenes and the deaths.
Sure.
I'm like, to an extent, I agree with that sentiment, because, and I keep saying it, you know, I'm like, don't cut away, no cuts, just follow them.
Yeah.
And when once Jackie gets the double bladed swords, they go from one side to the other flips, and I was just like, stay on it. I'm like, okay, they didn't cut throughout the whole movie wise, and I'm like, that's how they used to shoot the old kung fu samurai movies.
Right.
If they cut, it was for a dynamic reason, and not just because coverage
switch to Hey, didn't I tell you guys last week though when we were talking about what the woods look like? Didn't I tell you guys Predator? Remember, Brent?
Yes, you did. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
You did Predator.
Started to, but then it started to feel like it really got into Predator because it had this whole, being hunted down.
He was hunted. He was hunted. And I remember what Ronan said earlier about where we were talking about with the when you guys were saying that he was getting in their head and that you guys think you saying that it might be back. But remember, we seen that scene where May was running and you could see his face right in front of her. Like I think that's maybe I think that's maybe what she was like.
That was good.
I know, right?
That felt like anime. It felt like old Japanese horror movies. Or
he reminds me of an anime antagonist, bro. Like
he
has
right.
his hair. Like he reminds me of he's an anime.
Yeah,
he actually you're right. He almost is an anime character.
Yeah,
even the diss to her, it was like, May, you could learn a lot from this one. She's a good pupil. She's a loyal pupil, and it's just like, damn.
And he had that whippiness too, because like, Soul was like, "Why are you showing yourself now?" And he was like, "Well, I did wear a mask."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was crazy.
I didn't know it was because I was also scared. So, but
even his attire is very Japanese style.
Yes,
like what he's wearing.
Yeah, that boy, he was over there looking like Sasuke.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Soul got to do the punches. Like, I'm telling y'all, go watch my video. It was like a boxing match where just like, do the combos and like nail his, this mother. Yeah. And it was fascinating to see how Soul's fighting forward, even though he just lost people.
Yeah.
It's just to show, you don't, as a Jedi, you shouldn't just rely on the saber. Right. That, you should know how to do that beforehand and whatnot. That's the essence about the Force. You connect it with everything else, not just this thing that you get or finding a little crystal on that. So I like that they went down the route, and that's what when she said Kill Bill or just honoring the comfort. I'm like, there it is. I'm like, now just do more of that, please.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff. I wanted to jump back a little bit with the fight between Jackie versus May. We have this great little moment where these two characters are fighting each other here. Actually, Jackie technically gets like 4 massive fight scenes in this entire thing. This is the 4th one, technically, or one of the 3. She finds the lightsaber. Did you notice how big the Wookiee's lightsaber is? Obviously,
it was so big.
and it was just interesting. It was like, how does a small little hand like hers hold on to a lightsaber that big?
Yeah, but that hilt was huge.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. But we had some really cool stuff because really it was just like force fighting between those two characters. We had some really cool, interesting, fight moves and conversation in the middle of that entire fight sequence. And it just proved the skill of Daphne Keane as well as the character that she's supposed to be playing, of how skilled this young Jedi, how she would have been as a Jedi. I mean, it's like this. I think that's part of the heart of who she is. She's someone who's fought and trained so well, and I think that was even more emotionally powerful when she gets killed off there, because we do. The potential is lost of this cool character, of an interesting character.
48 hours later, y'all, I'm still kind of pissed off that they did that. Just because, I'm like, she didn't get to hang out with Osha again. They didn't get to be friends, and in some instances, I felt there was a connection between them. So I'm like, there goes that one life that could have been, and the matureness in such a young person. Went away, like her saying, it's always an honor to see something connect to the Force.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, damn, man, that would have been.
She reminded me like of Obi-Wan, like how Obi-Wan was. Obi-Wan was very like straightforward, straight to the book. Like he was like kind of remind me of like how she was. But I mean, you guys have ties to the Jedi, you know what I'm saying?
That's on y'all, folks.
I'm Team Khmer now. I'm Team Stranger, bro. That boy.
But again, sorry,
I was just gonna say, and what's also sad, kind of too, when you think about it, is that was essentially like one of her first official missions. It was her first mission.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're going to tell the Jedi the Order.
here's that big question where we still got this little scene with Vanessa, looks like it's on the same planet where she pulls out her lightsaber.
Yeah.
I mean, does Vanessa go there and does Sol make it back? Does he ever get back next week? Do we think he's gonna actually make it to the Jedi Temple, or do we feel like that information is gonna send lack of information is gonna send a search party and find all these dead Jedi with no real explanation?
That's the thing I want to say. I was a little bummed out that Saul didn't pick up Jackie's body and took it with him to the ship. I'm like, they just left him there, and I was like, I get it, you gotta chase the bad guys and y'all, but I'm like, and especially not to say okay, I'll be frank, I didn't care about the other Jedi. It was cool to see them fight, but I didn't connect with them at all. They were just NPCs, if you will. I cared about Jackie. I spent time with her in New York. So the fact that we just left them behind, it felt odd to me. But I agree with you with that one. I won't go into details about what we saw there, but when we see Andara or Master Renestra be in a forest-like place, I am wondering, and it's going to be interesting to see how much this show affects what we know, because I'm not like the rest of the world. I'm not pushing the panic button yet. Right. I'm like, let me see how this is played out at the end, and how self-contained this is, or how this might start sparking the downfall that the Jedi eventually go to, and how much maybe even by then the Sith are like, you know what, we didn't have to do that much. Just sit back, get comfortable within them, and let them do it themselves. And then when they're at the weakness, boom.
I think that maybe Renestra probably takes a little solo trip down there, if that even is Kofar, but I think she's probably down there by herself checking things out.
Yeah. Is she fighting bugs at the time, perhaps?
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe that's all she encounters.
Bugs. She's gonna lightsaber whip Soul. Like, you bad boy. I told you not to go there. Bad boy.
That's 2 Padawans. Come on.
I know.
Yeah. But I guess we'll find,
All right, guys. I think I'm gonna head out right now. Though.
Okay, Emmanuel.
It was fun. It was a pleasure, Ronan.
All right.
Subscribe to you, brother.
Good time with you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank
Hopefully you come back next week, bro.
If y'all have me, I'm down.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. You guys have
All right.
I'll be watching, bro. I'll do my stuff.
All right. Cool. All right. So we can keep talking for a little bit more, guys. Let's see. Other things that. Let's see. Other things.
I have something. There was something. I guess.
I think Kamir and Soul's connection is deeper than we realize. The way that the lines that he delivers of "you didn't recognize me," the way he says that, and with the it makes it seem like there's more to them than just. Obviously, he could be talking about the scene in episode 2 at the potion shop, but it seems like there's something deeper. Like, it feels like Kamir has something personal against Soul, and it could be just, I don't like you based off what May told me, but that seems like it was more of a personal connection versus just.
I agree. Yeah.
So I don't know. I was curious what your guys' thoughts were on that. What do you think their connection might be?
I think it's more like I think it's more kind of like how they can't recognize the Sith, because he's ready, because we've seen later on once they kind of meet, they kind of recognize the feeling, like how Vader recognizes Obi-Wan, even though they haven't seen each other. He's oh, he's near, I know, I recognize that's Obi-Wan's thing, or and then with Obi-Wan is I know Vader's on ship, or even Luke. We've seen Luke is they're nowhere near each other, they're in space ships apart, but he's Vader's on that ship. I know it. It's so it's since they already met each other face to face, it's dealt each other out kind of a little bit in episode 2, and it's
makes sense. Sam here puts out an interesting point, and I had read this and I hadn't thought about it until I saw this, but Soul is Kamir's dad, or a relation. That is a possibility.
I've heard brother,
it feels like there could be a sibling or a connection relationship in there, which could be interesting. I don't know how, if it is brother, then
that's too big of an age gap. I think I would.
That's just something I've heard. It's not necessarily something I agree with.
Correct. But it was out there, and I definitely
intriguing. But by this point, at the pace they're going, maybe Uncle family, that could be true. At this pace, what they're going, I feel like it's another thing to unravel, and it's at this point, I'm just give me the flashback out of the way, and then we can go forward with it, because I feel like at this point the flashback is holding us back to an extent. again, I'm not here to tell Hollywood how to do Hollywood things, but as someone who's been watching these shows a lot, I'm like, yo, with the 30-minute marks, HBO is just chilling out there. They're like, we got this on hand. I'm like, keep us in. If we're in Star Wars, you have our money. We're here already.
Right.
So keep us on Tangle and see, okay, how much juice we can savor within a week. Because, and I was going to tell you guys that, like, I feel they might have cut episodes 4 and 5 into 2 things. The way it builds up and how it connects into the other one, and how I feel like I think maybe that would have been a more juicier, concise episode than it stands 2 individual ones, and it would have still given us an extra week or an episode to flush things out. Because I think, and someone had said this, what if Khmer was somebody at the ritual? There was someone put out a photo, and again, this might be a big ass stretch where someone's in the hood. And what if he was there when that went down?
I see. There's a couple of things about that. If he was there, then he still would have been very young. He would have been almost a child himself. And the thing is, it's an entire facility full of female
witches,
base witches. So they're like Amazons. So it's like they're not going to necessarily have a lot of men floating around in their commune.
That's what I figured.
So with that. Yeah, I thought about him, and I thought, no, I feel like whatever was going on there might have been something. If it's not just the Jedi, then I feel like if there is a larger Sith Lord out there, someone who is the master, I feel like something still went on there, because there was that moment again back in episode 3 where Mother Coral, Coral. I'm sorry, I keep thinking of
The Walking Dead.
I know. Mother Coral gets distracted by a noise right after the girls force, testing each other with the Force and stuff like that, and she gets distracted by a noise, and she looks at the generator that has a spark go through it, and it's like, that was such a weird moment. So whatever happened started at that point in time, and I don't think it was the Jedi breaking in. I feel like it was something, because that was well before the events of the coronation or whatever, when they were gonna
ceremony.
Yes. So I feel like something else darker was also searching, or something else is in there. And again, we're going to see that. And I'm going to assume it will be episode 7, because the same director is also who directed episode 3 is directing episode 7. So I feel like that is going to be our second flashback episode, because they've kind of unified the directors to be doing their 2-part section of story. And I feel like that's where we're going to get that.
Because Khmer seemed to know a lot about what happened with the Coven, and then based on what May said, it looks like he's the one that's been feeding her, whether it's the lies or truth, I don't know at this point, but he seems to know a lot, and so that's what makes me also think, though, like, that there's also another player in this game, because if she was found by someone, I mean, to me at least, they seem pretty close in age. So I don't think he was the one that.
Like, no, not back then. Not in the flashback. That was unless he's older than he seems to be. I mean, that also could be a possibility.
Yeah.
But that would also mean that he's pulling power from the dark side to keep himself young. Wait a minute. Be doing that. Oh, wait a minute! I just had a Palpatine moment with Anakin. To keep others from dying or keep themselves. Could Khmer be drawing from the dark side to keep himself young? Could he have been there at this age or looking at this age? Is a possibility too.
Because we still don't know who found May because clearly someone saved her from the explosion and the events.
But even stranger, there's that last shot of May again. Jumping back to episode 3, we see her at the very end of that episode looking at the tree, and so by herself. So it's like, it feels like someone just took her there and left her there. But it's like, why? And so much is going on there. She was rescued, and I don't know if she was rescued by the Jedi.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something that I hope. Again, even when you tell me that the director of episode 3 is going to do 7, I'm like, I think if it has to do with the flashback, just do it next week. That way you have 2 more weeks left to wrap this up and not leave anything dangling as a red herring, if you will, or a mystery, if you will.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like next week is going to be a major Osha and Kamir story arc. I feel like we're going to see this scene with Venestra on the planet, and I feel like something with Sol and May is going to happen that's going to not have Sol go back to the Jedi Temple just yet. So I feel like there's going to be a side quest that's going to happen there. So I feel like that might be the arc next week. Yeah.
Next episode's going to be like kind of like a setup for the finale, and then we're going to we're kind of going to have like the flashback is a break between.
And then we'll get the finale.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like a 2-part finale. Like we get part 1 to like the setup for the finale, the flashback, which is going to reveal our questions and stuff. So that way we could delve into the finale knowing what we know now, and like
that makes sense. Yeah.
And like probably like leave like 1 or 2 things like just like left to the side so that it could get revealed in the finale or something.
Yeah, actually, because there's not like there's many Jedi left.
Wow.
Sorry, I just had to put that in there. It's like that was. Sorry, but yeah, they did do a. They did such a good job with this episode with making me quite surprised that they were taking out major players so early.
Another thing I've been seeing people comparing like that scene to, especially is the arresting, like when they arrest like Chancellor Palpatine, saying like all the Jedi go there and storm him, and then he reveals him to be the Sith, and then he just starts murking.
Oh yeah. No, totally.
It's just sad because like I felt like if this series were to be like more than one, I know they talk about season 2, but I don't know if that's like or not. But like I saw like Jackie and Yord being new Jedi characters that we grow with throughout these seasons, and so now I'm just like,
I better get some comic books or like a manga. Or,
like, the characters.
They usually do that with like Star Wars shows. Like, I saw this earlier today. They just announced they're doing a Kelnaka book.
Oh really?
Or it was a one shot.
Yeah,
like a comic.
One shot. Okay.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
Charles Soule
I guess.
I think they announced that like right when the show came out.
Yeah.
Or Cavan Scott or one of those two.
I think it's Cavan Scott.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ronan. I think.
They're doing now one shot comic.
Ronan, we were discussing, I think it might have been last week, that we all felt that Kelnaka had they all had some sort of a spiritual experience after they left the Night Mothers there, or the Night Witches. They all had this experience that changed each and every one of them in different ways, and it seems like Kelnaka was the one who went into hiding and used art form as his expression of whatever the events were, and obviously Torben went into self-isolation, and Inadra kind of went about her own daily things, and Sol kind of buried himself in
teaching
in his past kind of thing. Which
I'll say this.
I
beg y'all, don't watch the T-spots or spoilers. Don't watch trailers. There's already stuff showing that I'm like, wow, I wish.
I avoid all that stuff.
I'm like, and I'm like, why would you put that in the middle of this show falling? Because I'm like, well, now I'm waiting for that shot to happen. Yeah.
Some people didn't like Yord. Come on, Yord was a big nerd. But the thing is that both the actor, the performance, and the short time the character was seen on screen made both that character and Jackie very memorable characters. And you cannot deny how wonderfully cool that feels as a fan of Star Wars to have a short time with characters that have made an impact. Whether you enjoy them, whether you don't, it doesn't really matter. They had an impact on our lives of just 3 episodes technically, because they you didn't really see them in episode 3, and by the episode 4 they were dealt with and taken out. So it's like, to
an extent for me, like again, like you knew that Yord and Osha had history. I'm like, okay, cool there, and you felt that Osha and Jackie were gonna make history and go do stuff like maybe later on and have adventures as well. So it again, they pulled the rug under the feet, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I mean, it would have been nice to spend like an hour or an hour more. Yeah, an hour and a half more.
A bit more time
to spend with them, and that way it's not just Jackie that I'm feeling bad for.
Right.
That I feel also bad for Yord, because again, like when he went, I was like, wow, they did him. I didn't say no, Yord. I went, wow, he got Mortal Kombat. What the hell?
Yeah.
And listen, kudos to the actors. Kudos to the actresses that even though I have thoughts on this show, they got the material they were given, those costumes, that makeup, those swords, and they ran with it.
Yeah.
And
Costumes,
from the get-go, from
production
episode
design,
1,
fantastic.
I was, again, from episode 1, with only one episode, and I was like, okay, I like Soul and Jackie, and I want to know more about them, and want to spend time with this group more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We really haven't discussed, the reuniting of Osha and May, but it seems like, there are obviously these moments here where, and of course she takes the braids off her hair to take her place. It was really the first time these two characters had the chance to connect with each other, and it seemed like Osha was going to go, the full-on route, taking on her sister, and that's why I'm like, part of me is like, I don't know how they're gonna deal with this whole situation with her, being with Camille. I feel like that she will be turned to this dark side, and become the Acolyte herself. But I don't know if I would believe that from what we've seen from her.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really, yeah.
I know I had mentioned it last week how Osha's more at risk at being turned because she has more of this perfect vision of the Jedi than May does. And I think that's definitely what we're seeing here, especially after he calls out Soul in front of her and she straight up asks him, like, what are you hiding from me? And so
good point. Yeah, we had that moment too, didn't we?
Yeah, so I think that if Kamir kind of tells her the truth, or at least what he thinks is the truth, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, she thinks so highly of Soul that to hear that he has been lying to her for most of her life, I think it would really hurt her.
Fair enough.
I don't know hurt her enough to turn, but it would definitely hurt her.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously everything's going to, happen in that one episode of the flashback from the other side. So that's going to be a very real telling story. I mean, I think that's the big mystery right now. That, and is there a Sith Lord on top of all this? They're my two big mystery points.
It's fascinating how they went back to the bittering as kids, saying you started one, and I was like, okay, that's unique. But in hindsight, can somebody explain to me why? All right, May zaps Soul unconscious. Right. There's a moment they look at each other. Okay, they're finally reunited. Cut to exterior shot, and they're walking, and then we get them talking. I was just like, wait, why the hell? Why did we go away from that moment of like instant, like, oh, they're finally together alone. Right. They can talk, they can hug, they can scream at each other, whatever. Yeah. And it moves to another setting. I found that very fascinating. I was like, that's a choice.
Right. No, fair enough. Editorial choice.
And again, I feel like I'm digging as much as I can what Amanda Stenberg is doing. Right. But I feel like some of her lines at points did feel like basic. Right. And then, to me, I'm just very curious to see how, again, plot-wise, it kind of makes sense that they separate them, switch, do that thing. But it would have been a fascinating thing to see, okay, if the truth was played out in the table, and it's Soul, May, and Osha there. And how he gives the perspective, and how she gave her perspective of how she just suddenly came into Osha's room and threatened to kill her. Right. And it's just like, okay, why would you go about your way to do that to family? And I don't know. It's a fascinating thing. That episode, I was so conflicted because I'm like, I get where it was coming from. I'm in that zone right now of wanting to see the world, but like, can you do that to family? And how much right does family have to keep you like that? But you're a child, and it's their dynamic thing. It's a very fascinating thing, and I hope we spend more time with them together. But
fair enough. It doesn't feel like we're going to get that, though, because we are going to get definitely those two separate elements. Exactly. But I am curious how it all comes back together again, because I feel like that, again, that's going to obviously happen in episode 8, where we will get some sort of I mean, I don't even know how this is going to end. I mean, do we feel that Soul's going to even survive this? You know, Soul has been pardon the pun, the sole witness of something dark side that has, you know, and actually technically May came from that element too. So do we even lose both of them? Well, I don't know if we'll lose May, but I feel like that this element that Soul may not survive the end of the season because
I don't think Soul is going to make it out still.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready for it.
I don't want it.
I think him coming to terms with what happened will lead him to like a selfless act of somehow him like dying.
It could be. I mean, it would be even more terrifying if Osha's the one that takes him down too, because that is a possibility if she does turn. I mean, that's this show is about the dark side, guys. It could be that direction.
No happy ending.
No happy ending.
Whatever she learns, like, angers her so much to the point of like, where she hunts down Soul. Like, I wouldn't be able to take that.
That'd be crazy.
If Soul goes, I just want him to give Osha one last look, like he did when he reunited. They're like, Osha, like, you know, he doesn't have to say daughter, he doesn't say I love you, just like, you know, Osha. And then I wish he could look at May and just be like, forgive me. That's all that he wants now. Just forget a Jedi asking someone who's doing dark side stuff. Just like, forgive me.
Yeah. Anyway, guys. Oh yeah. Sorry, Joe.
I was gonna say I have one last question.
Yeah.
I guess it's more like I don't really know what what May's intention was with switching, because she kind of already declared that she was done killing the Jedi, and now she wants to be with her sister. So why did she leave him with the one person she knows that's gonna kill her?
A thing like that me and Daniel were talking about, like, during the episode, and like after the episode finished, was like she did a really horrible job of turning herself in. He was like, that's what signal them and then turn herself in.
But she already had made she had made a commitment last week that she was going to turn herself into Kanaka, and that's the reason she went there. Which again it did seem a bit abrupt, but it was more a matter of, you know, the realization her sister was alive. And this she had the chance to let it all sink in. So, you know, it becomes that whole thing of sisterly love is obviously more stronger. And I'm curious as to how that's going to play out, you know, whether they both end up by being dark disciples, whether they both end up by, you know, becoming Jedi, or whether they both end up by doing something different that we just don't know of yet. Who knows? You know.
Why didn't she say anything to Jackie?
That's what I was saying. Instead, she was
It's the same thing.
Like, the Sith threw off the plan, like, definitely, but like I think even like after all those parts, like after you got away from the stranger, I guess that's what the stranger. It's like you get now, like you could just turn yourself in, instead of like fighting, instead of like throwing hands. It's like
Jackie wouldn't have killed her. She could have just said, "I surrender," and Jackie would have been like, "Okay."
Yeah, like even time like with May, like it's like we could both get out of here and go to the ship.
Yeah,
it reminds me of when, you know, Bruce, please, trust me, and it's just like Clark, just tell Bruce, yo, my mom's been kidnapped, help me out, and then we could talk it over. It bothers me rewatching. I'm like, May, just say like, I'm surrendering. I know who that figure is. Get me to my sister. I will tell you everything, and it just.
So you feel that there's writing,
like multiple people.
Yeah. So you feel there's writing that could be a little bit more structured, is what you're saying, Ronan?
Yeah. Again, as someone who's still digging the show, I'm not going. They're ruining my. I'm not that.
But you're aware of these weaker plot lines that you know.
And it's fascinating. And when I say that other shows have let me down, I was more hyped for them. They're around their shows are based on characters that I've known for years. Sure. I'm a fan of that. I didn't know jack about the High Republic, except it existed. I had read one issue of the comics. I didn't know any of these characters, so I'm intrigued to follow them. But I'm like, okay, why isn't anyone saying this or this?
Right.
And again, at least acknowledging it that way, and then go about it execution wise. I think that the people, I've had friends who are like, I'm not vibing with the show, and then what they're saying, which I think is valid. Ideas, concepts, great, phenomenal. Just execution, no pun intended. Execution is where it could be improved. The one I like that it doesn't help. It doesn't help that we're in a new era and we're trying to connect with these characters, and some people don't connect with the characters, and they're making choices that I'm like, that doesn't, I would think if she would spill that easily to Kamir before knowing he was a true baddie,
sure,
why couldn't she ran to Kanalka's hut, be like, Master Kanalka, and it's just like, why would it do the same? I don't know. It's I don't work in Hollywood, but this is just what I'm as a viewer catching.
Well, guys, we might actually wrap it up here. Is any last thoughts at all that you want to put out there before we finish up?
I'm just gonna say, May has a really weird way of showing her sister that she loves her. First, she leaves, so she sets her home on fire, and then she leaves her with the Sith. So
sure. Yep. Any last thoughts? Yep.
I think that I'm digging the show. It's not great. It's not the worst thing in the world, whatnot. But I'm digging the show. It was really, man, that first week that I saw those first 2 episodes, it was such a cool thing to go into something in Star Wars that I'm not familiar with and didn't know much, like until Naimodian started popping up, or I'm like, okay, I know that's a Jedi, but it doesn't look nothing like the Jedi I grew up watching or have seen thus far. I'm intrigued to show. I'm gonna finish the show, and then as a whole, I will give my thoughts in it when it concludes. But again, right now, I've rewatched some of these episodes over again, so there's some juice to them, but there is valid constructive criticism, and there's plenty of opportunity for improvement. But it's again, take swings. Besides the stuff that we're familiar with, take swings. Some stuff doesn't always land, but there's something new to add. I care about 2 new characters that I had not known before, and now they're in my memory. They're part of my Star Wars lore.
All right, guys. Well, we'll finish up there. Ronan, where can they find you, by the way, if people are interested in checking out your channel?
Thank you for inviting me, man. This was a blast. I was like, I wonder what this is gonna be like. You can find me at Ronan and Shane on YouTube, on the socials. I'm covering the show on a weekly basis. I will be having a roundtable that maybe Brent, you could probably pop on. Hopefully, we can get
absolutely
that
again. Yeah. Had a good one a few weeks ago. So
and then there's what kind of tease that I have iron in the fire. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on in this next few weeks.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And thanks everybody who was in the chat and who was watching live. And if you get the chance, please like and subscribe, and that helps, build up the channel and everything, and go from there. We will be doing a reaction next week, and we will also be doing, another roundtable next week if everyone is available, and we'll see what episode 6 has to offer us all. So thanks again, and we shall catch you all later. Thank you.
See ya.